So we are on the roof today, fitting, I don't know what's this called, soffit? Welcome to part 2 of my self-build journey. At this stage, I just didn't know what to do with this swimming pool sitting on the top of my house. Brushing down the water through the house, it was horrendous. By August of 2021, Aidan Harmon and his team of roofers began to put the felt on the roof, and that made such a difference, just to get the house sealed so that we could keep working on the attic. I would highly recommend Aidan Harmon and his team. And then I had 2 steel pillars put in to hold the structure of my little bay window in the kitchen. And there's Jim putting the lead valleys on. These were all made by hand. Very talented man. So I would go up and help him just lift things and get things in place. I went for a slate called Rivendell by Tegral. It has that like blue-black look, the look of an old Bangor blue. It's a fire escape window. My brother actually purchased this fleur-de-lis for me as a part of my housewarming gift. It's a nice little crest on the side of the house. I am so excited. Dewy windows have arrived and they will be fitting my sliding sash windows today. So have a wee look at the before and afters and see what you think. So the house was really starting to take shape, and when the windows went in, it made all the difference. I went for white PVC sliding sash, and I went for like nice gold sort of traditional trim. One thing I would say is try to get your frames as much into the cavity as possible. The side of the house we had to build a trench to bring in the gas, the electric and the water. So we dug that out by hand and actually filled it in by hand as well. That was fun. So this is the inside looking down into the kitchen diner. That's my glass bay installed. It was really hard keeping on top of all the mess in the house, but I just spent like every evening, every weekend going out and tidying. If you look up in between the joists there, you'll see that I've installed rock wool sound slab. So I put that in between the walls and in between the floors, just to contain the sound between rooms, you know, especially in bathrooms and things like that. And if you have a living room below a bedroom, it's nice to have that sound cushion. This is the attic room, so that's the ensuite starting to be built. You will see in between the rafters there is a 100mm layer of Kingspan, and then that is faced with a insulated plasterboard of 65mm. The cavity wall insulation was installed by Energy Store. The Juliet balcony structure was actually built by a joiner and actor friend of mine called Matt Forsyth, very talented man, and he was in a short film that I made called Breach. So it was really great to have him work on the property. Check that out, Breach, it's on YouTube. The roofs of my bay windows were covered in a trocal. And there's Brian, my electrician, doing the first fix. And by February it was getting pretty cold. That's Stephen. He is an artisan plaster maker, so he's making me a nice mould to crown the front door. And by March 2022 we had the upper floor staircase, which was done in a tulip wood. There's living proof that I do help. And that is the attic staircase installed. And again, at the weekends and the evenings, anytime I was out tidying, I was out painting to get the place ready. So that is a coat of primer just to protect the wood. That is Finton, my plumber, installing the first fix to get the pipes to the radiators upstairs. Downstairs I went for underfloor heating, and then by May the walls were starting to be plastered from the top down, and it really transformed the house. Wait till you see. That's a wee walk-in wardrobe storage room. This is the first floor, the back bedroom with the Juliet balcony, a wee walk-in wardrobe to the right hand side there, and an ensuite to the left. And then later on in May, my wooden door arrived. That was one thing I would not compromise on. I did not want a composite door. I grew up in an old house and I loved the feel of a real wood door, and it was a heavy door. It's also a double door, so it opens up in two leaves. You'll see the split down the middle of the door there, so I'm so pleased with that. The door was by John Devon in Moira. We decided to install a wall from the front of the original property right down to the back of my own property and put in a hedge. We got a digger in to dig out the foundations, clear the site. It made such a difference. You'll actually see some of the original Victorian tiles there on the ground underneath those stones, but that really opened up the space and it was really starting to come together. That's my back garden. And by June, construction on the wall had started. We'd poured the concrete for the foundations, and we had a couple of pallets of leftover brick, so we used that to create a wall from the front to the back of the house. Believe it or not, I did mix some cement, and I helped lay those bricks. I thought it would help tie the brick of the old house and the new house together. And that's John Gallagher, my original bricklayer, and his team building the wall, so we got him back in. They're great guys. Very easy to work with. I actually helped them quite a lot. Loved taking part in the bricklaying. This is really not a good look. So we decided to put a chamfer in the edges of the pillars, and then that would be plastered over to make it look again more traditional. And this is another example of how I spent my weekends. So that was a layer of Dulux trade paint in a primer. So that's the first fix in the downstairs bathroom for the concealed shower and the concealed taps. And there's my kitchen with the cooker hood, which I built with my brother Anton. I've got a great sense of satisfaction building that cooker hood. And finally, by July 2022, the walls were all plastered and we were ready to get the insulation poured on the ground floor. Temporary stairs out. So this is a poured insulation which has like polystyrene beads in it and like a cement concrete mix, and you pour 150 mil of that, and then that's topped by a 50 mil screed. So that's the following day. It took about 3 days before you could walk on that. Then the underfloor heating was installed by BM Heat in Newton Ards. I had to put down the polystyrene separately, that wasn't included. And this is the finished Ultraflow provided by RTU. So in my next video, I'm going to talk more about my interior finishes, like my kitchens, my bathrooms. So stay tuned and please like and subscribe to my channel.